It's easy to get the width for the diesel heater by just measuring alongside it, but the actual length, you'll notice it's curved. Now if I take it at that point there, I'm going to have a gap in the floor, so what I've done is the thickness of the floor is that minus probably a quarter of it for the gap of here. So by measuring that, I draw the line on the heater there, so I only need to cut away up to that point there, and then I marked it round. So now to cut it out. What we're going to do now is drill some holes in the body for the flue. It does come with holes here, but as you see, unless I put spacers in there and then put the screws or bolts, so what I'm going to use the raised areas here. So I'm going to put 2 screws straight in the body there. Make sure it's level. Right, the next thing we do is use the mastic. This mastic is plumber's flue silicone. It can withstand heat, temperature up to 300 centigrade. So I'll be putting a bead all around here. And once we got this base plate fitted and the plumber's mastic sealer in place, I will go underneath now and seal the rest of it. So that's sealed all the way around. Still light. See what I'm saying about the ridges? If you put a flat plate on there, you'll have gaps here. So by putting a flue in it, this makes a better seal. So that's the carpet back, the base plate's fitted, sealed and screwed down and sealed underneath. Now what I'll do now is fit the heater unit itself. That's the heater. Temporarily fixed down until I screw it down properly. I've temporarily put the seat base in just to make sure it fits. So you've got plenty of gap on there, gap on there. Yeah, the exhaust pipe goes on to the furthest one away. So the one where the fuel intake comes out nearest to, that's the intake air, and the exhaust is this one. Back. So there it goes. It's going to be a bit tricky, but it's easier once it's easier to fit this before you put it through the flue, but I couldn't in my case. So I've secured the exhaust manifold now to the heater unit at the bottom of the van. The pipe goes basically all the way, goes under the exhaust, just misses, that's just a bit of a clearance behind there, and then it goes over the exhaust, and I've clamped it to this part here. I've put a stainless steel bolt in there toward the bracket which they supply. They don't supply the stainless steel bolt, they supply screws, but I put a bolt in there, and I also put my own bolt, stainless steel bolt there, 10mm head, and I've angled it. They do say there's a drip hole there, but because it's leaning, that should be fine. You might get a little bit of condensation just in there, but it'll burn off every time it uses it. And the idea is to slant the pipe downwards all the way so it doesn't get condensation in the pipe, and all you will see is just that end bit there. You can hardly see the pipe at all. As you get right down, you'll just see the pipe there. So that's the air intake and the exhaust manifold fitted. I've put a bracket on that beam there, the air intake, and the silencer, I'm going to cable tie it to the beam. Here we have the wiring loom. This fixed to the heater connector. So you've got the negative cable which can go to the body, which is why they've cut it short. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to cut the end off and extend it to the same length as the positive cable and just route it to the same fuse box in the van. On the other end you have a fuse anyway, which is a 20 amp fuse fitted to that. I'm going to cut that wire off and I'm just going to fit it to the van fuse box. That's the negative cable extended. I've used the same thickness wire, which is important, and it's the same length as the positive cable now, so I'll take that to the fuse box in the van. this wire which goes to the pump is one with this connector. Remember, I actually took this connector off. I showed you how to do it. I'm just going to be putting it back on. So that wire runs through there. Body. This grommet that I put on, this is from the body itself, and it actually is up there. So I'm going to pass the wire through the body to the other side there, where I've also got another grommet, and that's where I need the fuel pump there, and it connects on top, so it's right next to it. Out of the way. I'm just going to put the connector on. I actually marked it with the R on that side, scratched it on, so basically it's going to go on with that red wire. All you do is just push them in and they lock in place. And that's the fuel filter fitted onto the pump. I put a small tube in there because the end of the pump has to reach the end of the fuel filter. There's not got to be a gap. I've just cut the pipe now for the return pipe from the injectors. No fuel really came out, it's dripping slightly, so I'll connect this now onto there. Right, that's the pipe tapped in now from the return from the injectors. When you fit this pipe onto the T-piece, you want to unconnect these two pipes here at the fixings here and here, and put the end of this pipe in some hot water in a cup, and then you'll be able to push that T-piece onto this pipe, because this pipe is actually plastic. It's quite stiff, so it went on a lot easier. Make sure you put these on first though, that's important, because you won't get them on after. Once that pipe pushes onto that T-piece, they ain't coming off. But there we go, that's the setup now.